little trick, clean the lens, and you've instantly got a clearer picture. Well, when I saw, I've got a bit of the COVID routine, just getting everyone into breakout here. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Be Video Confident Show. Be Video Confident, it's the course that works with businesses and individuals to just be a lot more confident about using video. In the course, we teach people to be personally confident, get over any fears, but also start using your phone, start filming yourself, and start editing as well. And today I've got Shilpa Reddy Flower Design from her van. She's working. Hi, Shilpa. And I've known Shilpa quite a few years now, and I first met you when I was networking. And you remember that pre-COVID?
Yeah, that's right.
And you had a laptop, and you were showing us a video about your silk installations outside shops and venues, and it was just breathtaking. Not your work, but also the confidence in which you just had this amazing moving image and this video of your work, and you just blew everyone away. I think we had 60 seconds, and in 60 seconds, everyone was just like left going, wow, amazing. So thank you so much for joining us. And you're on the road.
Parked, but on the road.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to do a little intro about who you are, where you came from. So we've got Shilpa Reddy Flowers, and Shilpa started her floral design company in 2016, so pre-COVID, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about, how COVID and video have affected your business and boosted your business. And you got into flower design through a career change from medicine. Shilpa creates beautiful floral displays, so weddings, really beautiful weddings and events in and around London. Shilpa's mobile flower school provides corporate companies and private individuals with luxury flower arranging, terrarium making, and Christmas wreath making workshops. And they are fantastic, and I know everyone enjoys them. And so happy that during COVID we could still do these workshops, and that was fantastic to really be part of something. And it's wonderful that they're back live. Shilpa also creates long-term silk floral installations, and that's what I was talking about earlier on, for some of London's most renowned venues, including Rainforest Cafe in Piccadilly. And you do wedding flowers as well for Shangri La, but Shangri La Hotel at the Shard, London. Wow, welcome.
Thanks, Yola. Great to be here.
So I'm going to ask you very first question. So going back to lockdown, so we met before lockdown, and you're out and about. Floristry is an incredibly people-centered industry. How you had that lockdown impact? How did you use video to generate business?
Yeah, really good question, Yola. I mean, like you said, floristry is an out and about business, which is why I've got my coat on, because it's -2 degrees here in the van. But during lockdown, because we're specifically events florists, we couldn't really do any events. And I was trying to think about the other thing we do is workshops, as you've mentioned. And I was trying to think about how we could get those out to people at home, obviously without interacting with them directly. And one of the things a friend of mine was doing, she was doing an online jewelry class where they posted the kit out to you. And I said, well, how do you just follow some instructions? And she said, no, we log on live with the jewelry maker, and we make it along with her. It's sort of a live demo, and she posts us the kit out. And I just thought, wouldn't that be a great idea? So, we partnered up with a courier company, set up these I tried to make them lunch break classes, so people who were either working from home could do them in a lunch break or watch them back after work or something, and things that people could do with flowers and plants. And especially at that stage during the first lockdown, garden centres and everything were closed. So I think people were really excited to receive plants and flowers and things in the post that they could actually create something with, because though people were able to go into their gardens, they weren't really able to go to the shops and buy any plants. So that's kind of how it started. And those, just especially during the first lockdown, that really took off because people were getting comfortable with using Zoom. They didn't have to have their cameras on while they were doing the classes, so it just gave people a bit of flexibility, because not everyone wants to have their home on show, etc. So that's kind of how it started, and we've kept up a lot of our online activities and workshops and things as well.
I mean, I do remember at this period, and you're doing the wreath making. How many orders did you get? I remember some numbers flying around. It was incredible.
Yeah, wreath making we did. Well, it started off with terrarium making in the spring, summer, and then so we'd been running them maybe about 6 months by the time we got to Christmas wreath making, and I think we posted and sent out about 900 wreath making kits. They weren't all for the same day, but we did a mixture of private and public events. So some were companies who had booked for 30 people because the whole company's working from home, and they wanted something to bring them all together, for as a Christmas party. So we sent them the kits to their homes, and they all logged on together wearing their party hats. So that was quite nice. And then we also do classes for individuals as well.
Oh, brilliant! So kind of really just talking to people. So just
Yeah,
get
so,
some
sorry.
skills.
When I say individuals, I mean like people that don't know each other already from a company. So
Oh,
they might
right. Okay.
be
Okay.
20,
Okay.
20 in a class, but they book individually. Yeah.
Wow. So at this point, were you using? So you've got Zoom to do the
Yeah.
actual activity,
Zoom.
but how you're reaching out to people? Were you using social media
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Google or SEOs?
So yeah, that was the first question, because I thought we've got this great idea, but how do we get people to find out about it? And one of the things that has worked for me in the past, particularly with the workshops, is using Instagram ads. So we just showed a short clip of the class, what they'd be making at home. Made it very clear that you log in online and we send you the kit, so you don't have to go and do anything. And then you get to create your own, whatever it is, terrarium or Christmas wreath or flower crown or something at home. So it was, yeah, Instagram ads, and we used to advertise really 2 weeks before every. So we run them weekly, and 2 weeks, sort of a week before every class, we put an ad out. Pretty much the same. Well, every now and again we change the pictures, but that worked quite well for us actually. I didn't have so people booked on Eventbrite, so I used that as the booking platform, and again that worked quite well because I think Eventbrite have their own sort of SEO going for them. So people tend to trawl Eventbrite anyway, just looking for things to do, and we call them classes that you can do at home during lockdown. So people knew that that was something they were able to do. It wasn't something that was going to be forbidden. But we didn't really take any bookings through the website itself. I think people found, because Eventbrite is a bigger platform, people found us through there. There are also other platforms for crafters, things called Class Bento, who set up during the lockdown, or Hometainment set up during the lockdown, where you could go on as somebody who teaches workshops, whatever those workshops might be, and they would promote you on their social media, and they've obviously got their own SEO, etc., which is bigger than mine. So we sold through other platforms.
Oh, fantastic. So you want to do the courses,
Yeah.
you want to do the video. How did you decide where you were going to film the video? Kind of, so it's just you. Was it just you and your iPhone? How did you
Yeah.
physically do that bit?
Yeah, as you know, I don't have a laptop. We had this chat. So I've got an iPhone and an iPad. The iPhone, being more up to date, has the better camera, so I opted for that. And it works pretty well. So, I mean, during lockdown, there weren't really any choices for filming. It was either home or home. So, set up an area, with just quite a simple backdrop. For first of all, it was a terrarium making, so just painted a wall white and had some shelves there and put up some pot plants. So just something very simple, but that's not going to distract from what's going on in the workshop, because they need to be able to see that clearly, but visually interesting enough that it doesn't look too boring. And I did invest in some lights and things just to get the lights right and make sure they weren't too yellow. And we always got feedback from people, especially the first few classes, where we said, look, you guys are the first run, is there anything that you think we should change visually here? And then it was a matter of lots of trial runs before the first class went out, and making sure people could I encouraged them, rather than messaging on the chat, to just talk on the screen if they had a question, because again, if it's me running the class, I can't really respond to the chat, or I can respond to them later. Anyone who missed the class, we sent the Zoom recording out to them, obviously with the actually, I was going to say with the permission of the other people on it, which we did have, but Zoom didn't record. It was set to record only me and not the other people, so they didn't, if you were sent the recording, it would only be what was on the main screen, plus the chat. So that's pretty much how it was.
Yeah, I've actually got a question from somebody. So I've got a few questions for you, from not just for me, other people.
Questions. I'm so excited.
And that is that why you were featured on Gardener's World? Because of your terrarium videos?
Yeah, interestingly, it came from the terrarium advert that we put out to say that we were doing online terrarium making classes. So that was an Instagram advert, and that was seen by one of the editors at Gardener's World,
Oh,
who got
wow.
in touch and said, we're looking for features, though it aired after lockdown in the end, but they were looking for features for, things that they could possibly record remotely, and also, or just send a skeleton crew down, and also things that people could do during lockdown at home, because normally Gardener's World is people with lots of nice, town and country type magazine gardens, and I think they just thought, actually, lockdown, a lot of people are at home in small flats, they may not have a garden, and how can they enjoy greenery and bring some greenery into the home? And they thought that would be something they hadn't featured before. That would be quite nice.
Oh, well, I actually I did one of your terrarium
Yeah,
tutorials,
yes, it's
and
still alive.
I had it until very recently. I had it here, but it went into the garden this summer. So
Oh, was it?
everything,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
yeah.
Oh,
And in fact, you got me going, because I've now got loads of succulents.
oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I find them the easiest. Good
yeah,
plants
really,
for people who forget to water plants.
definitely, yeah, yeah. Particularly cactuses, because you don't really know if they're dead or not. No, only
No,
joking.
no,
And
no, it's true though, isn't it? You sort of looks passable, doesn't it?
um, what I wanted to know was, so this is a question for me that I hadn't thought of before. When you were doing those videos, did you feel nervous before, about being on camera? And you were really used to it by the time that Gardener's World featured you. Was that a different kind of experience? So I think my first question is, did you feel nervous before doing, personally nervous before doing the videos, or were you really comfortable with that? And how different was that feeling when you were being filmed by Gardener's World?
Yeah, with the videos, you're right. The first time, I did want to make sure I kept in time and didn't talk too much and allowed time for questions. So I did have some rehearsals over Zoom with like family members doing it first, just to practice. But I think, as you mentioned, I had a previous career, so I was in medicine for almost 15 years or so, and a lot of that career involves teaching. When you get to a certain stage, you're supposed to teach the year younger than you. So I think for the last 15 years, we had been doing these. People come in to learn stuff, and if you're the specialist in that area, you're supposed to teach them. And it was very similar. So I think from that point of view, I was comfortable. But and when I was on, on my iPhone, sort of streaming to people, I tried to imagine that that was the situation. Like I was just teaching people face to face, and that I wasn't on camera. So I tried not to think of it like that. And usually on screen, I can see myself like in small, but I can also see them. And I keep myself in small in the corner just to make sure when I'm demonstrating, I'm not obscuring something with my hand or my shoulder or elbow or something like that. So, yeah, so I can see myself, but I don't really look at myself on there unless, and just to make sure there are no big sort of obstructions in the way of what I'm demonstrating. But yeah, your gardener's world felt completely different because there's someone else filming me. So when I do my own videos, as you know, in general, I have the screen facing me and it's the selfie view on the camera. So I can see what's going on. Well, as I'm recording, I can kind of go, okay, yeah, I've just cut my chin off there. That looks ridiculous. And I can stop it and start it again. It's under my control. When they're doing it, I don't know what they're doing or what's on their screen, or I can't see it. And they had a very different technique. They said you sort of I needed to look over their shoulder and talk to as if there was somebody sitting over their shoulder. So not speaking to the person directly, which was also a little bit strange. And I like because it wasn't rehearsed with Guy. I mean, I knew what the questions were vaguely, but I didn't, it wasn't rehearsed. It's sort of just supposed to be natural. That I find it easiest to do the first time round, but when there was a lot of that was great, but could you also include this bit of information? So to try and remember what I just said, and then include the information in the second time, that I found that quite tricky. I'd rather just do a one shot thing, which it almost was, but there were bits like what you just said. Could you also mention this thing? And I thought I can't even remember what I just said. So yeah, so I did. Yeah, I did find that more formal recording a bit harder. Um,
Oh, wow. Well, and just to tell everyone who's watching is do go and check out Shilpa's Instagram. You will see a lot of what she's talking about there. And in particular, your videos that you do regularly. And what what I would like to know is, I mean, fashion affects and trends affects your design work. Is that changing the way that you do videos as well?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose there's two things there. Like fashion, in general, and like when we talk about catwalk fashion, that does affect what the clients want. They're quite fashion savvy clients who, they read magazines like Vogue, etc., and they will talk about colors they've seen on the Dior catwalk or Gucci catwalk. So that's one thing in terms of the designs we do. But in terms of the video itself, I'd say the trends that I pay attention most to are the trends. That are going on in social media. So it's sort of got its own fashion trends, if you know what I mean. So I picked two to focus on, like two platforms, so Instagram and LinkedIn, because I just thought I'm better when I focus on something. And this year, yeah, aiming to sort of focus on TikTok as well. But Instagram's got its own trends. So, like we were talking about earlier, that people now like to see, rather than see a completely pretty perfect video and have no idea how it got there. People do want to see the reality behind it. So you do a sort of post which is Instagram versus reality. That's a popular thing at the moment, where you show your perfect arrangement at the start, and then you show them everything behind the scenes. And then people also like tutorial videos. And I picked that up actually not from looking at other floristry videos. You see lots of cooking videos that are popular and have gone viral, or fashion videos where people have showed you how to put your outfit together. And that's usually where I get my inspiration from other industries. Look at something that's doing really well, or a creator that's doing really well, and all those ideas can transfer across. And like you said, 2 years ago, the videos I was making were very different. So it was all about doing things in landscape, and you had to get it in the square for Instagram. And now it's this kind of portrait mode 916 on the phone, if anyone wants to know. So that is otherwise you get these two sort of sidebars at the top or the bottom that are all black, and your video doesn't quite fit the screen. So it's kind of about keeping on top of the sizes and profile grid sizes and things like that. It sounds like a lot, but it isn't. Actually, I follow the Instagram have their own creators account. It's called @creators, and on there's loads of useful advice about sizing, about how to get your audience hooked and things like that. So definitely I do follow social media trends, and there's one or two accounts that I choose that they're always on top of things, so I sort of look at what they're doing.
Wow. I've got a question here from one of our viewers. And the question is,
It
how
makes
do you
sense.
fit this into your working day?
That's a really good question. I mean, obviously during lockdown, I had plenty of time. That's when I started. So I think it was good starting in lockdown because it meant that I kept the discipline going. I don't post as much as I should. I'm aiming to do a couple a week. I'm still on one a week at the moment. But for me, it's a little easier because um, the job and the video are the same thing really. So we do them all on the jobs. The tutorial videos, I try and plan. I look ahead at the week and see what have we got going on and what would make a good video. So, most recent one was a wedding. I just film the whole thing to completion, and then later on, I decide what I want to use out of it. And I'd seen this idea somewhere where somebody had thrown a pile of oranges or something, and it had changed the color of the wall. So I thought, let's do one where we throw a bunch of tulips, and then suddenly the staircase is complete. You know, just cut from one to the other. So we did a staircase as we would do normally for a wedding. And then we stop it at one point where I just wanted to have a shot of me walking up with the tulips, and then we carry on making the thing, and then then we just took a shot at the end, which is when it's complete, and we just cut the two together like the beginning and the end. But there's obviously in between bits that are going on, but they are actual real jobs. So I don't take that much time out editing wise. I think nowadays reels are between 10 to 30 seconds. So really, it's really the hardest thing is when you've worked really hard on something is to cut bits out, but actually it's quite easy to pick out like 10 or 30 seconds. But I do go in to the job with the idea of what I'm going to do beforehand, and maybe a couple of backup ideas in case that one doesn't work out. Then I'll say, okay, if that doesn't work out, we're just going to show how we made it from start to finish, or something like that. And the tutorial videos, again, they take about 5-10 minutes to shoot because they're sped up, but I'm making them more or less in real time. But we use flowers that we're going to use on the job. So I'll get a tutorial video out of them first, and then we'll take them to the job and do them. So I just try and fit it in around the work.
I mean, I am addicted to tutorial videos. Completely
Yeah.
addicted, and I save them. And some of your tutorials have just been so brilliant, like how to open up a flower, real secrets of floristry.
Yeah. And I think
Um,
because I didn't start, I came from another career, and I sort of still remember when I went on my first course, the things that really were the things that I would like, oh, that's exciting. I'm really glad they told me that. They tell me how to make that thing last longer, or, just these real tips and tricks, which I think if you've been in floristry a long time, you sort of forget sometimes that that's what the lay person wants to know. And then, same as you, I'm addicted to sort of these. I don't cook at all, but I save all these cooking videos because they look so great. So again, I sort of think, what do I like watching on Instagram, and how can that translate across to my business?
yeah, yeah. And talking about your business, I know what's really, really important to you is sustainability. And for me, I think when we first met, I think that for me was the biggest difference between you and other florists I'd met or worked with or commissioned was the importance that you place on sustainability. So what I really would love to know is, how do you get that across in your work, and how do you get that across in your videos?
Yeah, not so great. I hadn't really thought about putting it across my videos. Maybe I should actually. But I think it is something that the floristry industry is becoming more aware of. And I was surprised again. I think I noticed because I came from another industry, whereas in the NHS, recycling is quite a big thing. They do try and reuse and recycle. And in floristry, surprisingly, though, people think, oh, the flowers are all compostable, which they are, but there's so much plastic packaging, plastic etc. posted. The flowers come from Holland, so there is so much more that we can do, and it's a very sort of non-sustainable industry in a way. Um, so how we get it across in it, we, like you said in the tutorials, we definitely try and show different ways people arranging at home that they don't need to use floral foam, etc. There's some things where we still do use it, unfortunately, but we use a biodegradable version. But even that, we're trying to move away from. And just work with other florists as well who are sort of in that sustainability sector. But yeah, I do try and show in the individual videos like how people can arrange flowers without using floral foam, which is a traditional method, and we make all our wreaths without floral foam, so they're compostable or reusable. But definitely, yeah, a long way to go for the industry, I think.
And anyone who's watching this, go and watch Shilpa's videos, tutorials, because she's got such a clever way of not using that foam, that florist foam. And I'm not going to give it away, so you have to go there. The information is here, just scrolling through. Go to Shilpa's videos, have a look, and find out for yourself how you can really get that florist, the upright look. You know, I put things into a vase, and they're just doing that, but you put things upright and at angles. How do you do that without florist foam? Watch the video. Don't tell them, Shilpa.
Right.
So, wrapping it all up for today, thank you so much for your time. And I know you're in the middle of delivering and creating some a fantastic display. I think it's a work of art, actually. Tips, you've given us loads of tips. Are there any apps that you use and that we could look at and be inspired by?
Yeah, so any sort of low tech person like myself who's only on their phone. So I've got an iPhone, and I use Adobe Rush, which is the app for the iPhone. And I do the editing I do is very simple. So basically, just to get things down to time, all I do is I cut things. So it allows you to splice things out of the middle, really. So things I can do, you can take middle bits out, end bits out, and you can speed up and slow down bits. So what I tend to do is, speed up bits that take a long time in real life, and things that are nice textures, like pouring something gloopy or something like that. I slow those down, and that's literally all I do. The other thing I do, which you can do on Adobe Rush really easily, is you can remove the sound and add your own soundtrack.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and that's it. And apart from sounds, I saw on the Instagram creators account that often if you look at something on Instagram and it's suggested a reel to you, it's probably got a sound that's trending. So if you click on the reel, and if the song has got a little upwards pointing arrow, that's a song that's trending at the moment. So I try and use that sort of music. And if you can't find it anywhere, I just get it off YouTube and I screen record it and add it in. So that's it, really. Yeah. Only one app.
So that's Adobe Rush. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Shilpa. Really
You're very
appreciate
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing so much
Who's
information.
your next guest?
Sorry?
Who's going to be your next guest?
Well, you'll have to tune in next week and find out. So, if you could like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, you too will find out who's next week. And it's a very, very exciting person. Thank you so much for your time, Shilpa.
Oh, thank you, Yola. That was really great. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, wonderful. And I've got titles to see us out.